I am from the University of Guelph Humber, and I'm the manager of web services here. I manage a team of small full-stack developers and also teach them a lot of full stack decisions. Not you might be asking, what is Guelph Humber? You haven't heard Guelph Humber before. You've heard Guelph, you've heard Humber. Not a lot of US folks. But yeah, University of Guelph Humber is basically a combination of two big enterprises or two institutions, University of Guelph, shout out, and Humber College. We're not in presence today. So basically, we also run independently. But why am I saying all of this? Because when we because as we run our own Drupal instance and we have our own independent university website, we run into a lot of issues when we have to deal with two different partners and a lot of policy changes, a lot of things that change on their end, and we have to catch up. So that is why it is important to think about how you want to arrange your content, how you want to show your content on your website. So that is why I'm talking about strategically distinguishing content from data. So what I'm going to, so the agenda for the day, for this one is I'm going to show you what I mean by content and what I mean by data. So with some real life examples and why we should distinguish them, and also how to strategically distinguish them. This is going to be fairly non-technical. I'm not going to go deep into tools or anything like that, but try to explain on the bigger strategic level on how we can use or how we can present content on our Drupal sites. There you go. So introduction of content versus data. So I wanted to really show this Venn diagram here. So usually nowadays you see three different kinds of data, three different types of content. One you call the text content, which has your articles, your blog posts, your FAQs, your product descriptions, etc. And then you have your multimedia content, which is like your images, videos, audios, etc. And then you have specific data content, which have a lot of numbers, measurements, dates, locations, etc. like that. And then some of them overlap. But importantly, what I want to say is maybe we should scratch off this Venn diagram and think of a solution where every content is seen as data. So the top 4 prerequisites to consider everything as a data content is to basically see if the content that you're presenting has a structured format. Is it objective? Is it factual? Does it have or does it possess a raw or an unprocessed parameter in there? And most importantly, is that content going to be purposeful? Can you use that later for making bigger decisions, for making bigger strategic plans, etc.? So with that, we'll play a small little game. I will show you some screenshots of sites from some of the projects I've done in the past and from my partners. And just shout out if you think the content on that page or from that screenshot is a data content, or should it just be text or multimedia, etc. What about this? Obvious. Next one. Data. Okay, it's getting a little trickier. What about this one? Some mixed reactions. Some people saying data, some people saying multimedia, textual, etc. How about this one? Data? Okay. I see a lot of confusions around here. So before I give off the answers on what it is, I want to say why we should distinguish data versus content, and then I'll come back to this where we can really mix up and say why all of these are specifically what kind of content. So from this screenshot, you can see there are multiple numbers. There are some videos. There's statistics out there, etc. But you can see this site as a data side, because as a data content, because number one, it helps you create narratives. So you can use data, let's say number one in universities or 95%, etc. Or those videos where you have multiple videos running in the background and you want to, and it keeps changing as soon, like once you shoot new videos, you want to upload them. And this is a huge process where you have to upload it somewhere and then bring it back again and upload it to your Drupal content, etc. You can really create narratives by presenting them, by integrating your data with your Drupal site and then presenting them as so. Next one, like if you have a lot of data out there, one of the things that we as Guelph Humber really struggle is that a lot of our data here, as you can see, either as PDFs or as links on the site, etc., has been just presented as data, and we don't really have numbers associated with it. When we come down to like strategic planning, thinking about the future, how should we do things in the future, we don't have a lot of numbers, we don't have metrics, we don't have what we should be doing. So one of the things that will really benefit your organizations if you consider content as data is that you can use that data in the future to do a lot of strategic planning. Next one, boost productivity. As I mentioned, like let's say you have marketing content, let's say you have videos, let's say you have multiple or data that you have to store. You might store it first in your CMS, next in your ERP systems, etc. Databases somewhere, and then you have to pull them all and then put it again into Drupal. If you present them as data, have some integrations aligned with them, you can boost productivity where you can just insert that data in one place and then use it wherever you want, including your Drupal site. The next thing is manage policy changes and regulate audiences. As you can see here, we came across a very interesting case recently where due to a traffic incident that happened in University of Waterloo, we were mandated to take off a lot of content that was on our Drupal sites that was relating to locations, rooms, etc. Where you can locate a specific individual to a place, and we were told to take that off the site and make those as private information. That was challenging for us because we never regulated that in the past, and we had locations everywhere, and we had places, we had schedules, we had timetables, exam. I can name hundreds of places. So mainly with that, it was very a huge challenge to get through all of that and filter them out and remove them from our Drupal site. But during that process, one of the things that we did realize is when we have these policy changes that come in place, wouldn't it be really cool if we had all of this in a database and with a click of a button we say, okay, we don't want this data stored anymore, and remove them? So that is one of the other reasons, and of course managing audiences. So with all of that in place, how do we strategically differentiate data? So we know the reasons now, but how do we actually differentiate them? So as we mentioned before, there are 4 prerequisites. So talking about structured format, look at your content, see if your content has a format to it. Usually you'll see a header, a body, a footer, etc. You can put that into a data table and then present them with that level of format. Look at it if you have a quantitative nature. This one was not presented really, but if your data can actually collect information or present information that is quantitative in nature and can have some statistical metrics, then that could be considered as a data content. See if it's objective and factual, which basically means see if your data is actually free from interpretation, free from opinion. So basically you have a raw, unprocessed metrics that you can actually present to create your own narratives. And this brings back to the point of raw and unprocessed. And lastly, purposeful data. This is mainly important to see if we can actually So if you can see data that's been presented or the content that's been presented actually come back to you and be repurposed or used in different purposes. So with that, so the answer to the last questions, all of them were data content. And just to do a little prerequisite check, we can look into this specific screenshot of the events pages. Does it have a structural format? It does. It has an organized layer. It has a format. It has a structure with the dates, with the descriptions, with the headlines, etc. Is it objective and factual? Yes, it does. It is free from all the subjective interpretation. It's just basically giving you its opinions. Is it raw and unprocessed? Yes, in the background, we have all of this data in a database where it is completely raw, and then we can present them in whatever format we need. And is it purposeful? Yes, it helps us with tracking trends. It helps us with supporting analysis, informs decision making, etc. With that in mind, if a lot of people were asking me about the tools and what tools do we use to basically show your data content out there. I would say there's a lot of tools out there. There's like RESTful API integration, views. We had the last presentation from University of Waterloo, which was great, which talked about it. There's the decoupled session. So there's a lot of tools out there, but I think there's a lot of people in this room here that I'm going to talk about. So with that, thank you for listening to me, and hope that was useful.